Hey, what's up guys, TechTime here and I'm back again with a brand new video. Before I begin this one, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you do enjoy my videos, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Also make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. So today we're going to be taking a look at my 48-hour experience with the US version of the Samsung Galaxy A16 5G. Now I did several videos on this phone, but it was the international version with the 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of storage, as well as the Exynos processor. Well, there you go. These are basically the differences between this version and the international version. But let's have a conversation about this real quick. So the display is very similar. It's a 6.7-inch display, 2340 by 1080p. Now, the biggest advantage between this display and, let's say, the A15's display is in its brightness. So this one is 800 nits of high peak brightness, and it does also support 90 Hz. The previous generation also did support 90 Hz. Now, if I were to complain about the display, you can say that the bezels on it are slightly on the larger sides of things. But as far as the design itself, we're going to circle back to the display. But if we're looking at it from a design perspective and if we're comparing it to the Galaxy A15, then I can tell you that this is a very similar formula. The biggest changes between this phone and the Galaxy A15 is in sort of the material of choice. It still is plastic, but one is glossy. The other one, which is the A15, had sort of matte finish to it. I'm not really the biggest fan of glossy material, but that's just what you get. You still get a triple camera setup on the back with 50 megapixel main sensor and a ultra wide as well as a macro sensor. On the right hand side, again, the same formula as the previous generation. You get the power button and volume up and down, and it does have this kind of indentation on the sides of the phone. Now, another difference between the Galaxy A16 and the Galaxy A15 is in the removal of the headphone jack. Now, this may hurt some people's feelings, but yeah, super official. No more headphone jack on any of the kind of budget Samsung phones. So we're officially no headphone jack team. So yeah, you might be against it. Me personally, I don't really mind. I haven't used a headphone jack in a very, very long time, so it doesn't really bother me that much. And if you actually shine this phone under sunlight condition, under the right sunlight condition, you can kind of see this kind of diamond pattern. It's more apparent on the white version, but unfortunately, with the US model, you only get two colors, black and white, so you don't really have a variety that you can choose from. The other thing that I want to circle back to is the display itself. If, like I said, if I were to sort of nitpick and complain about the display, it would be in two things. One, the size of the bezel. So the bezels on this phone are, if I'm really nitpicking, I would say that they're kind of uncomfortably larger than they should be. The other thing is this kind of reflective coating. It's better than the A15, but it's still showing. So take that information and do with it as you wish. Other than that, this is still is a fantastic display. You still get a Super AMOLED in a phone that is $200. So thumbs up for Samsung for giving us still a solid display here in 2025. Now, the next in my conversation would be the camera conversation. Now, like I said, I did a full dedicated camera review on the A16. I'll leave it linked in the description below, but it's definitely a fine camera quality. So you get a main sensor of 50 megapixels. The ultra wide is a 5 megapixel low resolution, but it's still ultra wide up to 120-degree field of view. And you also get a 2 megapixel macro sensor. So essentially, here's my TLDR when it comes to the camera quality on the A16. In my opinion, it's basic. It's gonna be good for taking pictures under some really good sunlight conditions. However, the pictures are not going to be the greatest in color or the greatest in dynamic range or exposure or contrast or even saturation, but for what it's worth, for this phone, it does the job. It's slightly, ever so slightly better than the Galaxy A15, so if you're hoping that it's going to be a drastic upgrade, then I wouldn't hold out too much on it. Like I said, the full dedicated camera review is in the description. And in lower light conditions, yeah, this phone, not it. I would not really recommend this phone in low light, but then again, I would not recommend a lot of phones at a similar price point in low light, so I'm not going to really beat it up too much in the head. And you do max out video recording at 1080p, so no 4K video recording, which in my opinion, it's fine. The selfie camera is actually really good. It's way better than the previous generation. But back to the video quality, the camera on here, the video camera is 1080p. There's no optical image stabilization. It's only electronic image stabilization. It does decent. You can record some decent videos on this phone. It's not going to be the greatest, so set your expectations like that. Now, here is the kind of biggest letdown with this US version here. If you even go to the Samsung website, you'll only see one model, which only comes in 128GB of storage and 4GB of RAM. The international version had 8GB of RAM and 256GB option. I don't get it. I don't know why we're not getting that version here in the US. It sucks. 4GB of RAM is just not it, especially when the 8GB RAM version, I remember when I got it, I only paid like $40 more than the 4GB RAM option. So that was ridiculous in my opinion, and I'm going to be complaining about it because the performance is yet again another letdown. So yeah, you get a 784 on your single core in synthetic benchmark and 2098 on your multi-core. The single core is drastically better on the international version. The multi-core is very similar in that regard. Now, when it comes to your basic tasks, this phone is going to be fine. It's going to do the job as well as you'd expect. But then again, I mean, I just don't get Samsung's thought process when it comes to the US version of this phone. Give us the option to buy the 8GB of RAM. Even if it's $50 or even $100 more, I think it would be worth it for some people. So yeah, the performance is definitely a letdown. Now, I've only spent 48 hours with it, but in the longevity, I feel like the performance is going to be an issue. That's how the A15 was. So with that being said, this is my 48 hours look at the Galaxy A16, the US model. Let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy the video, leave a thumbs up. What do you think about the Galaxy A16? Is it going to be worth the upgrade given the bigger display size, or you'd stick to the A15 if you have it? Let me know in the comments below, or let me know what phone are you waiting for in 2025. I'm interested to hear about that. So leave it in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching.